us down, la 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 la. But
Hello and welcome to my vlog. I am William A. Rumley and this is my journey to writing. Stay tuned and enjoy this once a week vlog. Hi and welcome back to the vlog. This week I'm going to talk about what I've been doing all week, which is formatting the book into print files. And I'm going to tell you how I did it. I'm also going to talk about the other thing I've been working on is understanding and working with ISBs and educating you on them. ISBNs and educating you on them. Then I have a round of updates. Stick tuned. We have interesting things coming. So, you've just spent all your time doing your writes, rewrites, rewrites, having an editor write it, going through it, reading it, doing all that, this and that and the other. And now you're ready. You're ready to begin. So, you have to know what your format is so you can provide the printer with the correct style, design, and structure. And here's the magic of it. All these guys over here all have different rules. So you really have to go and decide who you're going to give your book to, who you're going to print with, and then you have to go to them and find out what their standards and rules are. Every print book, these printers all come with different size pages, different size production, different output requirements for the cover. So you really have to read what they say. When you have that, when you have your definitions, then we can go in and do Word. So in my example, I'm printing with lulu.com. And I went to their website, I got their guides, and in their system you had to use the calculator. You have to know the number of pages after you get the paper size. Well, that's getting ahead of myself. You'll see in a minute. So first you got to figure out who your publisher is. Then you have to figure out what you're going to produce because each format has different requirements. So hardbacks have different requirements than trade paperbacks, which have different requirements than pocketbooks, which have a completely different set of requirements for an ebook. And what you need to find out is paper size, margin requirements, top and bottom, outside, and gutter. We'll talk about gutter in a bit. And also if they have any specifications for page numbers. And also what the requirements are for that guy in the middle here, the ebook. In most cases, the page size has got to be custom. So here I've set the settings for my hardcover, which is 6 inches by 9 inches. That's what my inside of the document requirement is. So I went into page setup. I choose custom page with 6 by 9, apply to the whole document. Boop. Then I had to go into my margins. And the first thing you do when you go into margins is you have to set it to mirror margins. That's the special margin setting for when you're building book productions. Because there's no left or right side of a page when you have mirrored margins. What you have is you have the inside of the book, which is called the gutter, and you have the outside of the book. So then you have to figure out how much space you want to make. So mine's all in inches. So for my hardcover, it's 0.7 for the top, 0.8 for the bottom. And also remember, if you're going to put in page numbers, that's extra. The outside margin is a ½ inch. The inside margin is empty because you don't use inside margin. You have it to the gutter. And then you add the ½ inch of the inside margin to the 0.4 of a gutter. So I'll put it in the gutter at 0.9. My book is portrait. The other thing that I need to be able to do is need to put in the page numbers. Once you set up your book, you can put in the page numbers, but then you have to put in a page number for the even, well, first thing you have to do is you have to go into your header and footer environments, and you have to set the first page different and the even and on pages different. Then you put a page number on the even pages, and then you put the even or the page number on the on pages. And here's where it confused me. As you open a book, the even number is in your left hand. The odd number is on the right. Think about when you open up the first page, you get the title page. He's right there because there's nothing on the left. That's the inside of the cover. Even page on the right, or even page on the left, odd page on the right. So when you start thinking about the rest of the book, you got to keep that in mind. And just because you thought you knew everything, I read an article on the author's forums that I'm following on Facebook, and they tell me, hey, don't forget, you can't use the Microsoft fonts. What? Yeah, Garum, or you can't use the Microsoft starting fonts. Those are business fonts only. They cannot be used for professional publications. So what fonts can you use? Ta-da! So I chose, to be safe, sans serif. I had to modify both my body text and my headers to sans serif. And then I had to also go in and control my global pay or my font size and my paragraph spacing. Doing a book with font size 12 doesn't really do you good, especially when you're producing a book that's going to be printed per page, and the more pages you have, the more higher the price of the book. So the average reasonable font size for most books, whether it's a hardcover or soft color, is anywhere between 10 and 11. So 10, 10 and a half, and 11. So for me, my body text is 10 and a half. For my trade paperback and for my pocketbook, it will be 10, and for my hardcover, it will be 11. Ebooks, you don't worry about that on. I'll tell you in a bit. Headers, usually you have a header 1 and a header 2. So header 1 normally is between a 12 or a 14, and a header 2 is normally between an 11 and a 13, depending upon what your base font is. And you also make your headers always bold. Keep it simple. You also have the ability to control a lot of things within the spacing of the paragraph of both the body and the header. Let's see what that is. So normally when you're working on a Word document, up in the toolbar, you can see this header, the header panel. And inside of it, you will see the normal heading 1, heading 2, and other headers. The only ones we worry about is normal, heading 1, and heading 2. All the text in your document should start off as normal. When you have a chapter, it should be a heading 1. If you, for some reason, decide to have chapters and subsections, then that would be heading 2. In my book, I separate my book into 4 books inside, so those are all heading 1. Then all my chapters are heading 2. And I do something weird in chapter 3. You'll see when you read my book. So if you right-click on one of these in the panel, you can select Modify the Style. Now, this is the best way to format your entire book, because all you do is say I click on Normal, I do Modify Style, then down here I have the opportunity to just pick my settings, my font size, my font to choose. And as you see, I just put a sample together straight off the default template of Word. So I have a Microsoft font in there. I would have to change that to sans serif. Then I would change where it says 12 to 10.5. This will be from the body of my text. Then I would go down below where it says the format, and then I can select paragraph. And then the next one is when I have paragraph, I can select a number of things, including Um, you know, justification is actually weird. When you write a memo, when you do a professional document, when you use Word to do work, justifying on the left and right side is not something that is considered useful because it adds a lot of space. However, in fiction work or in printing, they like to have it pretty. So you have to justify your body text. Just a thought I had. Spacing. If you use 10.5, you need to set your spacing to exactly 14 points. If you do 10, you should put your spacing at 12 points. If you do 11, you can keep the 14. It's still okay. What that means is the spacing of the height of the paragraph, the space in between the sentences. Remember, the people reading for luxury, sometimes if you put too much white space in there, the speed readers out there will hate you. When you're doing your headings, headings 1, 2, 1, and 2, you can force a page break before it. And this is useful unless you're doing an ebook, then don't do that. If you are doing a print book, the space or page break or before the header that you are applying saves you a little bit of work. I say that after my book has a lot of chapters, and I wanted all my chapters to start on the odd page, the right side page. Remember, I talked about that in the last slide. Sometimes I had to go through and look at it and determine if it was on an odd page or not. So Word doesn't show you a book layout. It just shows you page by page by page by page. You can do 2 pages at a time, but it's still not book layout. And you can really mess yourself up. So you must put in your page numbers. And for me, I made sure my page numbers were aligned to the outside of my book. And then I went to a chapter heading and saw, okay, is my page number on the right side? No. Hard return. Pushed it over. And do that to the whole book. I added actually 22 pages by pushing out my headers, but at least when you open it up, a chapter starts on the odd page, the right-hand page. There's no easy way of doing that. That's just to consider the formatting. And that, so font size, spacing, bold on headings, page breaks before headings, odd page placements. That's been my week for 3 full books. Now let's have a debate. Do you name your chapters? If you name your chapters, a reader would like to have a table of contents. Now it's a print book, so a table of contents is simply going to refer to the page number so they can skip ahead and go to the right page. If you don't name your chapters, and it's just 1, 2, 3, then the table of contents might not be needed. Or if you have like only 16 chapters in your book, do you really need it? Those are choices you have to make. Now, Word, if you use the heading 1 and the heading 2 styles, Word can build an automatic table of contents for you. And it's easy. So once you build it and use it and do it, it makes life easy. But I suggest you make space for it and you do it last. Now, I made my table of contents in my A4 document. It fit on 1 page. I was happy. But then I had to change my page sizes to 6 by 9 by 8 or 5.5 by 8.5 down to 4 1/4 by 6.7825 or something like that. My table of contents didn't like that and took up multiple pages. Another thing is the table of contents inherits the formatting of the headers. So you also have to make sure for the table of contents that your spacing before and after and the spacing of the header is also correct, or you get a inflated 15-page table of contents. And one more thing, ebooks has no formatting, no page returns, no page numbers. You write a paragraph that follows straight on with the text before it, or you write a chapter right in the middle. It just keeps going. You don't do any formatting except header 1s and 2s. Now, why is that? You don't make a table of contents either. Don't do that. Don't put page numbers in. Don't do that. What you have to do is you have to take your Word document and utilize some device to turn it into an EPUB. I picked up Calibri, and so what I had to do is I took my Word document and I pushed it into Calibri, and then in Calibri I pushed it back out as an EPUB and then chose how the table of contents looked. And it picked up the text in the chapters, and then that table of contents gave a starting point for every chapter. So basically you go to a chapter heading and then you scroll down till you read the end of the chapter. If you keep scrolling down, you go to the next chapter, comes back up to the top. Or you have a table of contents that you can just click and go straight to the chapter that you want. That's all done as an EPUB. Now, if you don't want to install a third-party software, there's a lot of software out there you can upload your book to and they will produce. Lulu itself has an EPUB converter. However, I have heard it's not the best. That's why I went with Calibra. And then the nice thing about an ebook is once it's converted into an EPUB, has a table of contents, the reader controls the size of the font and the paragraph spacing, the background color, the everything. You don't have to do any formatting. That's done by the reader with their e-reader tool. Think about your own e-reading tool. The only thing you do have to do is provide with a front cover. You don't have to put that into the EPUB. If you're doing Lulu wants it separate. They will put it into the EPUB because they also put your EPUB through an evaluation. And then when you're all done, you have your book formatted, and then you follow the rules and the implementation requirements of the whatever company that you're using. And I'm using Lulu. Are we done yet? Well, let's see. Did you think about all the extras that you can or should put in there? At the very minimum, you must have a copyright page. Now, a lot of people ask, well, what's a good copyright page? Well, what's your genre? Go on the shelf, pick up your favorite book, look at what they did with the copyright page, and copy that. Except, you're the publisher, you're the author, someone did your art, give them credit. If you have images inside, give them credit. If you're doing fiction, it's always a good idea to mix in some sort of text about if this looks like, sounds like, or feels like a real person is all by accident, this is all a work of fiction, that kind of stuff. I used Copilot and we wrote out mine. It's very easy. Another thing readers love usually is, who are you? Give them a short author bio. What's your criteria? What's your credentials to doing this writing? If you're a fiction writer, don't start by when you started writing this book. Start when you started being creative and writing stuff. That's what you should do. In my book, I have a copyright notice. I made an acknowledgments page because a lot of people helped me. At the end, I gave an author's bio, and I also talk about my series announcement, and I'm talking about my plan for all 7 of the books for my series. Some authors even can put in an character index with a short character Bible connected to it. I've even seen them go as far as to say, first appearance on page 12. That's up to you what you need. The only thing you really need is a copyright page. Everything else is extra, but good for your readers. While I was doing all my input, all my registrations, buying my ISBNs, I had to do something. Here, my plan was 3 books for the Warden of the Dawn, 1 book for Everett James, and 3 books for the War of the Tapestry. But the whole thing is one saga. I needed to come up with a name, and that's what I've done. This is the Cosmic Tapestry Saga. And below you'll see my mock-up for every book that I am working on writing. Only Revolt on Prime, Revolt on Prime, the AI art doesn't do lettering always perfectly. Only Revolt on Prime is a painting by Chris at the moment, but hey Chris, if you're watching, we got work to do. These are all AI mock-ups, just ideas to start me off. They're not the final productions. Now, formatting a book is a lot of work, but I'll tell you what else is a lot of work. ISBNs. Stay tuned. If you're going to sell your book on any kind of a market, it must have an ISBN number. And if you are in a country like the Netherlands, you have to give it a number of other numbers. If you're in France, they have different requirements. So you always have to look at local rules. An ISBN should only be bought by the ISBN provider of the country you reside in. A lot of people told me I can get ISBNs nice and cheap, and then they come from America, but then I can't use them. You have to have the ISBNs in your country of residence. They're still good across the entire world. My books I can market in every country on the planet, so that's not a problem. There are 2 sources for ISBNs. The publisher, or you buy your own. Now there's a lot of things you can talk about. Well, my publisher will give me my ISBN for free. Yeah, but they own it. That means they control the copyright. They control the edition. They can actually make changes now to your book without your permission. Companies like Lulu and Ingram Spark, they don't make any changes. But if you make an edition, they have to approve it. There are limits to getting a free ISBN from a publisher. Here's another thing too. You say you make a trade paperback and you take Ingram Spark's ISBN. Can you take that trade paperback away from them and then take it to another publisher? No, you have to make a new edition significant enough to control it. That publisher, if it's their ISBN, they control that edition of your book for eternity. Now, if you buy your own ISBNs, which makes you your own publisher, I'm my own publisher, then you can take a book out of one marketplace and put it into another, and they can do nothing about it. Well, they can remove you from their marketing label. Okay, but you have your own marketing label. It is expensive. So in the Netherlands, I used mine ISBN website. I had to register, I had to verify myself. They accepted me. Then I was able to make an ISBN purchase. One ISBN was 130 euros. A packet of 10 was, I think, 280, or maybe 312, something in there. But I got a packet of 10. Now, I'm producing 4 versions of my book. That's 4 ISBNs. Now, if I wanted to take the free ISBN thing and say on lulu.com, I'm going to do their ISBN for my trade paperback. Then I would go to Ingram Spark with my trade paperback and I want to put it there too. Then I would need to have another ISBN and I need to give it a different edition. And in the world, all of a sudden, there would be in these different stores 2 versions of my book. And as an indicator, Amazon, they would find 2 versions of the same book from different publishers and they would knock them both off. So you got to be smart, you got to be correct with your processes. So here I see the 4 books that I'm publishing: an ebook, a hardback, a trade paperback, though my trade paperback will be more closer in size to the hardback, and then a paper or pocketbook. Here's another amazing thing. I have 312 pages in my hardback. I have 328 pages in my trade paperback. I have 504 in the pocketbook. It's the exact same number of words, and I even made the font smaller because the pages are so small, they make it fatter. So this means that my trade paperback is more expensive to produce than my pocketbook is actually more expensive to produce than my trade paperback. I'm still getting my head around that. Whereas the ebook sitting on the side over there, he don't care. He's quite happy the way he is. But ISBNs, I chose and bought my own. You can go with the publisher ones, but then you have to lose a little bit of control. But that doesn't matter to you. They're free, usually. You got to make your own choice on it. Stick around. We got a little bit more to do. There's stuff about ISBNs you need to know. So, for instance, another thing too, when you do a publisher imprint, they tend to only let that book go to one market. So here, the transcensorship on the left shows you the publisher imprint is only going to Amazon, whereas the private press on the right, called the example Silver Dragon Press, not my publishing house, the ISBN is able to go to libraries, go to bookstores, global distribution, so on and so on. It's a trap, I think, in my opinion, if you go with the free publisher ISBN. Also makes it very difficult to find your book online if you have more than one. And it's time for updates. As the recording of this, I have submitted 2 of the 4 versions of my book to lulu.com. And they have accepted them, and I can see them. I still have some administration to do with that before I can get my samples. And tomorrow I'll be submitting the other 2 versions to Lulu to see how that works too. Now, you have to make your own cover. And I'll cover cover building in next week's video. But I had to redo my cover about 2 or 3 times. Okay, so that's where we are with book 1. We are submitting to the printer. Just so you know, the idea is that the printer will produce a copy for me to approve. They will send that to me. This will take from 5 to 10 days for me to get the book. Get the books, and then I can review them within a week, and then I can send them back. And then what will happen is my books will be sent into worldwide distribution. That will take anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks before my books start appearing on any platforms around the world. I will, however, be able to sell them on my own lulu.com store. And I'm going to do that on a specified publication date. As soon as that we have got approval, we will make the plans, and then we will do a build-up to with a nice campaign, and then have a publication date. It will start with one of these YouTube or one of these videos, these vlogs, and then we'll be doing a daily round of interesting things coming at you. But I'm not going to say the date yet because I still have to get the originals, and I still want to take my time to go through it to make sure when you buy your book, you're buying something with quality and not with stupid mistakes. Okay? Book 2. Starting on Monday, I'm rewriting book 2, the first rewrite. Now, what I'm going to do with that, I will talk about that in the later vlog. I'm converting my scenes into chapters, adding world flavor, making sure all my characters are well described and well defined. Make the conversations more realistic and give you, the reader, something to look forward to. I intend to take about 5 weeks to do the rewrite because once you've written the book, the rewrites can be quick and faster. And then I'm going to drop it off to my beta reader. And then while he's doing the beta read, I'm going to start writing book 3 already. Writing book 3. I'm almost there. Actually, I was at the gym today and I was already playing the first couple of chapters in my head. What would I write? What am I going to do? Book 4 is also starting to materialize. It's starting to really come together. There's still some mysteries for me to figure out yet, though, but it's going to be something special. Book 5 is still a big mystery to me, though the characters have been defined, and I'm looking really at like love and mystery in that book, and it's a book of dragons. I always say I like to write about dragons. There's one dragon or two in every book, except in book 5, it's 7 worlds of dragons. Book 6, I had some really great inspiration on book 6 and put it down, and now it's waiting there. Waiting, is it my turn yet? Is it my turn yet? I'm hungry, Bill, write me. And book 7 is starting to take some serious shapes. 5, 6, and 7 are the War of the Tapestry. And that changes the way that I would write it. You'll see when I get there. Because if I tell you, then you're going to lose something great that you're going to see in book 1, 2, and 3. So that's where we are. That's what I'm doing. And the way it looks is at least in April, I'll be available. My book 1 will be available for purchase somewhere, probably on my Lulu store. I'm thinking, and then you don't hold me to this. This is just blue sky idea. I'm thinking that around December or maybe January, depending on how long I get things, I can probably publish our Detonation Book 2, and that maybe in August, September next year, Book 3 can come out. There's just open goalposts. Them's my milestones. I'm trying. I know you will want to have all the books, but remember, every book is an independent story. My characters move between the books, different roles, different ways, different stays, but the books are always different worlds. I think that's what I love about the saga that I built. So stick around with me. Some good things are coming. Thank you for watching my vlog this week. I also want to welcome and say thank you to the new subscribers that we got this week. I'm also thinking about going to fairs and stuff in the future. Once I have some books and build some table stuff, then might be going to some fairs here in the Netherlands where I would do book signings and sell the book on the table and stuff. We will find it, we will see, and you'll be the first one to know everything. Till next week, like, subscribe, share with 3 friends, and let's get the Let's get the information out. Thank you. Bill out.
The wind speaks in a language older than words. I stand here, bark worn thin by years. The earth holds me when the sky tries to tear away. The weight presses down.